Today, I am going to discuss another common legal problem. Ito yung problema ng mag-asawa, the husband and the wife. Tama, I am talking or I will be talking in particular about the crime of concubinage, yung pangangaliwa ng husband. Ang pagkakaintindi kasi ng karamihan is concubinage ng maituturing kapag nakipagtalik o nakipagsiping ang husband sa ibang babae. Mali po yun. The mere sexual intercourse by the husband with a woman who is not his wife does not automatically amount to the crime of concubinage. Sa ilalim po kasi ng ating batas, meron pong 3 ways to commit the crime of concubinage. Ano po yun? The first way of committing the crime of concubinage is when the husband keeps a mistress in the conjugal dwelling. Sa Tagalog po, kapag pinatira ng husband yung kabit niya doon sa bahay nilang mag-asawa. But meron pong another requirement doon. The concubine, meaning yung kabit, must live in the conjugal dwelling even for brief periods of time, and not where she occasionally comes for a sexual intercourse or to spend the night therein. Hindi po pwedeng papunta-punta lang yung kabit doon sa conjugal dwelling. Like, yung kabit pumupunta lang doon para makipagsiping tapos aalis agad. Or tumitira lang yung kabit doon for 1 night or 2 nights or 3 nights tapos aalis naman. Ang requirement po ng batas is dapat pinatira talaga o nakatira talaga yung kabit or yung mistress doon sa conjugal dwelling for, let's say, for a month, for 2 months, for 3 months. A longer time is required po para maipasok natin sa first way of committing the crime of concubinage. For example po, si X and Y, husband and wife. Meron silang conjugal dwelling, sila ang nagpatayo. Pumunta yung asawa abroad to work as a domestic helper. Now, habang nasa abroad yung asawa, yung wife, doon pinatira ng husband yung kabit niya sa bahay nila. Let's say yung wife is under contract sa abroad for 1 year. Sa loob ng 5 months or 8 months, habang wala yung wife, pinatira naman ng husband yung kabit niya doon sa bahay nila. Doon po, pasok po yun sa first way of committing the crime of concubinage. The second way po of committing the crime of concubinage is having sexual intercourse under scandalous circumstances. Now, medyo confusing po itong second way of committing the crime of concubinage kasi hindi po kailangan na mahuli talaga sa akto yung husband at saka yung kabit niya in the act of sexual intercourse. Hindi po hinihingi ng batas yun. Enough lang po na na-scandalize yung publiko na nakikita sila na nagsasama in public. So for example, si X, yung husband, is often seen with his mistress in social and public gatherings. Tapos ini-introduce pa niya or tinitreat niya as though the mistress was his wife or is his wife. Enough na po yun to consider the act of the husband as the second way of committing the crime of concubinage. Hindi po kailangan, like what I said, no proof of sexual intercourse is required. Mai-infer na po yun, na nagtatalik na siguro ito kasi parang asawa na niya kung ituring itong babaeng ito na hindi naman niya tunay na asawa. Now, it must be pointed out that public reaction is the gauge of the scandal. Kung walang testimonya from other people whose moral senses were outraged by the illicit relationship, then there is no scandal to speak of. Kailangan po na merong ibang tao na nakakita, na alam ng taong ito na hindi sila tunay na mag-asawa, tapos na-enrage yung moral sense niya na hindi tama to. Ba't niya pinoflaunt in public na asawa niya na hindi naman niya ito asawa? For example, yung wife, caught her husband, Y, in the act of having sexual intercourse with another woman inside a motel. So, siguro, nasundan ng wife yung husband dun sa motel kasama yung kabit niya. No one other than the wife saw the incident. Yung nakakita lang, yung nakahuli sa akto is yung asawa lang. Walang ibang nakakita. Question, is the husband guilty of concubinage under the second way of committing the crime? The answer is no. The sexual intercourse cannot be considered under scandalous circumstances. Kahit na po na na-scandalize yung wife sa nakita niya, hindi yun ang hinahanap ng batas. Dapat may ibang tao po na na-scandalize, not just the wife. Here's another example. Yung husband at saka yung kabit niya are openly going out in places where the two are total strangers. So, yung husband at saka yung kabit niya, pumupunta sila sa lugar kung saan walang nakakakilala sa kanila. Kahit na nakikita sila ng ibang tao, pero yung ibang tao na nakakakita, wala namang alam tungkol sa relasyon nila, hindi sila kilala, there is no concubinage there because there is no possibility of moral outrage from people who know of the illicit relationship. The third way of committing concubinage is cohabiting with the mistress in any other place. So, yung first way is keeping the mistress in the conjugal dwelling. The second way is having sexual intercourse under scandalous circumstances. The third way is cohabiting with the mistress in any other place. So, when you say cohabit, it means to dwell together. Nagsasama silang dalawa. Like a husband and a wife for some period of time. So, it may be isang buwan, isang taon, or even longer. Example, yung husband, iniwan niya yung asawa niya sa Manila, pumunta siya ng Cebu to live with his mistress. So, nakatira na siya sa Cebu kasama yung kabit niya. They live together in Cebu as husband and wife in an apartment. Now, yung mga neighbors, ang paniwala nila is talagang tunay silang mag-asawa. That they were really a legitimate couple. Meron bang concubinage doon? The answer is yes. Because kahit na walang nakakakilala sa kanila, mere cohabitation is enough. Proof of actual sexual intercourse is not necessary. Another example, yung husband, binigyan niya ng bahay or pinatira niya yung kabit niya sa isang apartment pero hindi siya nakatira doon. Although, pumupunta-punta siya doon, he regularly visits the mistress para doon sila magsiping at saka magtalik. Meron bang concubinage doon? The answer is wala po. Why? Because hindi naman siya nagfo-fall sa first way. Yung keeping a mistress in the conjugal dwelling. Hindi naman niya pinatira dun sa bahay nilang mag-asawa. Hindi rin siya magfo-fall ng having sexual intercourse under scandalous circumstances kasi wala namang ibang tao na outrage sa ginagawa nila. Hindi rin siya magfo-fall sa third way. of committing the crime of concubinage dahil wala namang cohabitation. Hindi naman siya nakatira doon sa bahay or sa apartment na yun together with the mistress. Pumupunta-punta lang siya doon. No? So, hindi siya magfo-fall sa third way of committing the crime of concubinage and neither also of the first way and the second way. So, ang dami talagang lusot ng husband, no? Unlike sa adultery, wherein the mere sexual intercourse by the wife with a man who is not her husband is enough to constitute the crime of adultery. Pero yung concubinage, kailangan pang maipasok sa tatlong ways. Because, to repeat, mere sexual intercourse by the husband with a woman who is not his wife does not automatically amount to concubinage. Another question. Fiscal, kung may pruweba po na nagkaanak yung babae sa husband, pwede na bang maihabla for concubinage yung husband dahil may anak siya sa ibang babae? The answer po to that question is no. Hindi pa rin magfo-fall sa crime of concubinage. Kahit na ma-prove pa natin na nagkaanak sa ibang babae ang husband, having a child by another woman by itself is not sufficient. There must still be proof of the commission of any of the three ways of committing the crime of concubinage under Article 344 of the Revised Penal Code. Fiscal, ang hirap pala i-prove ng crime of concubinage. Yung adultery, ang dali lang. Wala bang ibang paraan dyan na maihabla natin yung husband? Aside from the crime of concubinage, meron po. Pag naipasok siya under certain acts of violence under RA 9262, pwede pong maihabla natin yung husband not for concubinage but for, let's say, psychological violence under RA 9262. But sa ibang topic na po yun.